at some point, the world is going to go into a crisis, or a country is going to go into a crisis. It might be the UK, it might be Italy, it might even be the United States, but something is going to happen. Things are very, very taut in the financial world at the moment. When that happens, I think they will close the banks. You'll wake up on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning and hear the news that they've shut the banks, not going to open on Monday. And then by Monday evening or Tuesday, you'll get the announcement that we're having a new currency, the CbdC, and don't worry, it'll be 1-to-1 against the old currency. But there'll be some restrictions on your ability to convert your old money into the new money.
Good morning, everybody. JT here, Serenity Farms Prepping. So what you just heard was from November 24th, 2022, and that was Clive Thompson, the retired managing director at Una Bancare Privy UBP SA at UBP Union. And he is saying exactly what I've said in a couple other videos concerning a total intentional economic collapse and ushering in overnight the central bank digital currency, or Cbdc. So let's get into how this will affect each one of us personally, whether we choose to join the system or not. And I will use my personal, individual circumstances to highlight how it will directly affect me. All right, let's do.
Maybe the financial system will become so complicated as AI takes over more and more of the action that it will be just too complicated for the human mind. So how does a system functions when no human really understands it?
So you might have missed what happened Wednesday afternoon at the Fed, but they started their CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. By the way, India just rolled out its retail pilot program for digital rupees as well. Don't worry. I think maybe we should start having the conversation, because this is coming. Maybe we should start having the conversation of, gosh, this looks like the mark of the beast.
So let's remember, this has been prophesized. Many believe that a CBDC, central bank digital currency, buy, sell, trade, the only way that will be allowed was if there was going to be some type of mark. But maybe that's already been done for millions and billions around the world, that those of us who remained as purebloods are automatically out of the system regardless of which way the currency goes, because it's all going to be controlled by other things, which if we refuse to get, it doesn't matter what the currency system will be. Let's listen to a little bit more.
I mean, doesn't it?
But surely it's not.
Surely it's not. Of course not.
Not from the U.S. government.
No. They never do anything underhanded or evil.
Never.
Never.
Especially when Democrats are in control.
Amen.
Okay, so you heard Glenn Beck say our Fed started it, and they did last Wednesday, right around the 28th. They were implementing it as a test. Well, as we all know, there's no such thing. Once the government takes or does something, it never gets reversed. So, here's how this is going to work in my personal situation. Okay, everyone is going to be affected in May of 2023 when Pedo Joe and the Democrats sign the new treaty from that group that sounds like an owl. I made a video on this. He will sign it. It will basically usurp our Constitution completely. And as I mentioned before, any incident anywhere in the world and those unelected globalists can immediately call for a total lockdown, mandate everything of every country, regardless of where the incident is. So, in May, the treaty will be signed. I predict that within a month or two, max, there's another contagion somewhere and they institute the lockdown. This would be the perfect time for them to do a bank closure, because this lockdown won't be like the one we experienced a couple years ago. It'll be total. No one will be able to move for a short period of time. This would be giving the banks time to close their doors, not have bank runs, which they wouldn't allow anyway, post armed guards, yada, yada, yada. And like you heard the first gentleman say, they're closing. There'll be a 1-to-1 transfer. If you got $1,000, you're going to have 1,000 Cbdc. I already had mentioned earlier in another video, it's not going to work that way. After it's done, they're going to say, I'm sorry, it was 5-to-1 or 10-to-1 or 20-to-1. Meanwhile, the deep state globalist Democrats have stolen the rest of the percentage, and you're going to be given your UBI pittance based on your social and carbon credit scores. All right, and it's coming. There's nothing we can do to stop it. It is coming. So, it's decision time for me. Pure blood, conservative, not going along with anything they do. But here's my situation that I need to prepare for now. I've only got about 6 months. I am a New York State retired law enforcement in a state being terrorized by a tyrannical socialist full on board with this. Also, with 6 months left in my career, I was severely injured and was cut in my right arm, had to have several major surgeries, lost 20% range of motion in this arm. I also get a small federal disability for loss of use and other scars, surgeries, loss of wages, everything. Okay? So I'm a captive audience to two specific groups that are automatically on board with a Cbdc. A federal government for my disability check, which is the Democrat regime, and New York State, who has a socialist governor, being in the state retirement system. She will come out and switch all people in the state retirement system to a central bank digital currency, whether we want it or not. Now, if both of those entities switch my income source to central bank digital currency, there may and likely will be a small time frame, I have no idea how long, because it's going to take them a while to institute this everywhere, maybe a year, maybe two, maybe a little bit longer. So they can't automatically on day one that they shut down the banks on Friday and open on Monday that says everybody has to do this. This is the way it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. Businesses aren't ready. Suppliers produce, and nobody's ready for this. It's like the solar and electric crap, the wind. There's no infrastructure for it. And it will never work anyway in the terms of the green crap. But this CBDC, that's... All right, so my state and federal retirements get switched to CBDC. So now, if they base how much I'm going to get on a social and carbon credit score, then what I currently get will be almost nothing. I will probably owe them. Funny but sad. Okay, my New York State retirement, I earned that. Everything I have in there is what I earned to put in there during the course of my career. And the federal one, I earned as well, the hard way. But the New York State one, you want to sit back and go, how can you tell me how much my dollar is going to be worth when I earned everything that's in there? You just can't take my, for example, $2,000 a month and tell me it's only $1,000 a month because I have a bad social credit score and a bad carbon footprint. But they will. And there isn't a thing that you can do about it. None of us. How do you fight that when everyone's in on it? So, as they force every business, every person, every bank, every credit union, everything, as everyone is forced into the CBDC mark of the beast system, it's going to take time. Because how is that going to work? If I go into a store to buy a loaf of bread, what do I have in my possession that says I'm part of the CBDC? I don't have anything. I have my driver's license. I have my retirement badge. What do those get me? Nothing. How are the stores going to know? Or because they're not, when you go into a store, once this system is implemented, anywhere you go in, when you make a purchase, you're not getting any change back like we do now. Something happens digitally where X amount is deducted from your CBDC account and you walk away. But you're going to have to show something for them to scan. So it's going to take time for them to issue passports, ID passports, guaranteed. So right off, are they going to go with, well, you don't have the thing, so you don't get a passport unless you get the thing, which means you have no access to your CBDC. Are they going to do that instantly? No, probably not. They're probably going to take care of all the people who willingly and gleefully rolled up their sleeves and already have a passport card, so to speak. But they'll fully implement them a digital driver's license passport kind of card, I believe. And on that barcode will be literally everything about your life besides the amount of money in your account. There'll be all your health information on there, your personal credit score, your carbon footprint, blah, 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 everything. Okay? I'm not going to go that route. So how much time am I going to have before they say that all the stores are fully equipped to process all this stuff? And then when I don't have the card, I'm done. So how's that going to work? Because I'm going to have an account that's having CBDC into it every month. Or is it? If I refuse to become part of the system, will New York State continue to pay me my earned retirement? And will the feds continue to pay me for injuries I suffered in the line of duty? If I refuse to submit to the system, they're going to say at some point, fine, we're not going to pay you anymore. You refuse to be in the system, there's no sense us depositing anything into your account. You're out. You're not buying, selling, or trading. Now, this is where I'm really going to be effed. What am I going to do? I will have no way to access any money in my account if they keep putting it in there. And even if I can, I can't take it to a buddy, a friend, a family member and go, hey, can you go buy me this and this and this with your passport card? And I'll give you this. If I can't get it out, I can't give it to them. If I give it to them and they try and put it in their account, the powers that be are going to say, no, John Q, your limit was 1,000 CBDC every month. Where did you get this extra 500? See how it's not going to work. And nobody in their right mind is going to let me or buy me something when they're all on a UBI well less than what they were living on just a few months ago. They got families to feed. They got their own job. They got their own social credit score, carbon footprint. There will be deductions for every time you fart. Now, you may be able to increase your credit score by being a good little boy or girl and towing the line and doing everything they say. And that's where 15-minute cities come in. No one's going to be able to drive. Everyone's got to walk or bike or public transit. Live within 15 minutes so they can walk to everything. Okay, so here's another thing. I am technically less than 15 miles from the closest city to me. But that's not what they mean by 15-minute cities. They mean everyone lives in the city and can only go 15 miles from wherever they determine Center City is. There will be gates everywhere. They're already doing this in England. There will be gates on the main roads in and out of town, which the city near me, that's about 4 roads they got to put gates on. And apparently there will be gas vehicles for a little while, but every time you drive, if you get permission, you have to apply to get permission to leave the city. And it won't always be granted based on where you're going, what your carbon footprint is, how much left you have in your CBDC, because they're going to deduct. It is going to be a totalist feudal system nightmare. One which I didn't think I could double down on my preps because I am going to be completely alienated from society. I may be able to walk or bike 15 miles to the city to see people, but if it's gated and I don't have my passport thing, will I be allowed in? What happens to all the people who currently live there that don't have the thing? They're going to be given an option to get it, probably, or kicked out, or sent to the re-education FEMA camps that are being built all over the U.S. Now, remember, the 15-minute cities, they're not going to be every town and city you live in now. They're going to pick those. Right now, the FEMA map shows 10 cesspool shithole cities, all in libtard frickin' cities like you would imagine. That's where people are going to be allowed to habitate. All right, you really, really need to start thinking about this. A lot of people don't know that the federal government here in the USSA has already started the process of instituting the CbdC. Whew, it is gonna get ugly for those who make it through the coming dark winter. I went a little bit long, but this is very important. You need to start thinking about everything I just said in relation to your own personal situation. Whew. Never a better time. www.storagechef.com, SFB15 for your code. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Remember, when they decide to do this lockdown, May, June, July, there will be total communication blackout, everything, so there's no communications. That's all I got for now. JT, signing.